All right, this video is finding surface area of prisms and compound figures. Surface area is the total of the surface of a three-dimensional object. One way to find surface area of a solid is by making a net. So we have this figure here. If we transform that into a net, it would look like this. And this allows us to see all of the sides and represent it out, and therefore we can just use that to find the area. So we could see that each of the lengths would be 11. Each of these widths would be 2. And that means this would be 22, that's 22, that's 22, that's 22, that's 22, that's 22, all the way across. And then we could break this up into squares that are all 2 by 2. So this would be 4, that would be 4, that would be 4, that would be 4, and the middle would be 4. So this is 20, that would also be 20. Add all these together, add those two together, and you get your answer. Another way is to think about the shape and decide how many sides you actually need to find the surface area of the whole figure. So when I really look at this shape, I really only need to know the top, the bottom, and then the 12 sides. And I say the 12 sides because all 12 sides are exactly the same. So if I'm looking at the top and I break it up into squares, again, each of these squares is going to be 4. So we have 4, 4, 4, 4, and 4. That means the top is going to be 20 inches squared. Well, if the top is 20 inches squared, well, the bottom is also going to be 20 inches because they're exactly the same. So we know that that is going to be 20 inches squared. And then we have the 12 sides. Well, all 12 sides are the same. They're 2 by 11. So one side is going to be 22, and then we just need to multiply that by 12, which gives us 264. And I know it's 22 because it's 2 inches wide and 11 inches tall. So there's 12 of them. If one of them is 22, 12 of them multiplied together, and then you just have to add this all together, and we end up with 20 plus 20 plus 264, which leads us to 304 inches squared. That is the surface area of that figure. All right, now see if you can find the surface area for the shape. All right, when I look at the shape, I recognize that there are 5 rectangles around, and then these 2 triangle square shapes or a trapezoid on the other side. There's 5. There's the front rectangle, the slant rectangle, the back rectangle, and the bottom rectangle. So I'm just going to list out those over here. So I have the bottom, BO, BA for the back, the front, and then the slant rectangle. Okay, so for that bottom one, I know it's 5 by 10. For the back one, I know it is 11 or 5 by 11. For the front one, I know it is 5 by 7. And for that slant one, it's 5 by 6. And I'm just getting those dimensions by looking at the sides and the widths. So this is 5 by 10. This one in the back is 5 by 11 because I can add those two together. The front is 5 by 7, and the slant is 5 by 6. And then I have to find these two. So the area of the trapezoid, I'll just call it the side or the trapezoid. Well, that's a little trickier because we actually have 2 pieces. So we have this 7 by 10, which is the rectangle. And then we also have the 4 by 10 triangle. But when you do the 4 by 10 triangle, we have to cut that in half. So that's going to be 4 times 10 divided by 2. So this is the triangle piece, and this is the rectangle piece. And then we're just going to add those together. So now we can start just solving out the pieces. This would be 50. This would be 55. This would be 35. This would be 30. And this, the trapezoid, ends up being 70 for the rectangle and 20 for the triangle, and that adds up to 90. But since there's two of them, two sides, we have to double it, and that would be 180. And now we just need to add these together. 50 plus 55 plus 35 plus 30 plus 180 gives us an answer of 350 inches squared for the surface area of that shape. Okay, next one, we have this L-shaped figure. Okay, and we're going to see this in the same way, like what pieces do we have? What pieces do we need? So I know I have the L shape side, and that's going to be times 2. And then I know I have rectangles that attach everything together. And I have one rectangle, because this would be the front, 2 rectangles, 3, 4 rectangles, 5, and 6. So I could just write each one down and write it as rectangle 1, which has the dimensions of 3 by 4, rectangle 2, which has dimensions of 3 by 4 again, rectangle 3, which is going to be this top one, which has dimensions of 2 by 4. Okay, then I get the one on the back there, which is going to be rectangle 4, and that's 6 by 4. And then I have the one on the bottom, rectangle 5, and that's going to be 5 by 4. And then finally, rectangle 6, which is also a 3 by 4. And that one is the one I missed right here. Okay. So I can solve each of these and then add them together, but I have to focus on the L shape as well. So to do the L shape, I would cut across here. I would find the area of that, which is 5 by 3, which is 15. And then the area of this is 3 by 2, because when I cut that, I end up with 3 this way and there, so that's 6. So that ends up being 21. So the two L shapes are going to be 42. This will be 12. This will be 12. This will be 12. This will be 8. This will be 24. And this would be 20, which would give me a surface area of 130. And I don't need the units, so the answer is just going to be 130. Next one here. Okay, very similar to, I think, the first one we did, where we have the trapezoid and then the rectangles attaching it. So I see this as, how many rectangles do I have? I've got the top, the bottom, the back, and then the slant, and then I have the 2 trapezoids. Okay, so what is the surface area of this? All right, so to do this one, I would find the surface area of each of the rectangles. So I have the back rectangle, which is 12 by 4. I have the bottom rectangle, which is 8 or 12 by 8. I have that slant rectangle, which is going to be 12 by 5. And then I also have the top rectangle, which is also going to be 12 by 5. And then I have the sides. Well, those sides we actually find by solving out each of those pieces. So we have the dimensions of this rectangle and dimensions of this. Well, this is 8 across, and but this is 5 across. So we know this is 5 by 4, so that's going to be 20. And we know that this section here is 4 by 3 because it's 4 high, but then 3 across because we had the 5 here. So 4 times 3 is 12, but since it's a triangle, we would cut in half, and you'd end up with 6. So the sides would be 6 or 26, and then 26 together for a total of 52. And then we have to add all that together after we solve. So we have 48, 96, 60, and 60. And when we add those together, we have 48 plus 96 plus 60 plus 60 plus 52, which gives us a surface area of 316. Again, no units. So that's our answer. All right, this last one. The last one for this one, we're going to, again, see it as rectangles. So I'm going to see how many rectangles I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rectangles, each attaching these pentagons to each other. So I'm going to do the dimensions of each one, and I'm just going to label them out. So what is the surface area of this? Okay, so I've got the back rectangle, the bottom rectangle, the front rectangle, the slant rectangle, and then I have the top rectangle. And the dimensions are going to be 5 by 8, which is going to be 40. The bottom is 8 by 7, which is 56. The front is going to be 2 by 8, which is 16. The slant is going to be 5 by 8, which is 40. And then the top one is 8 by 3, which is 24. So now I've got all my slants. I just need to focus on the sides. Now, when looking at these sides, we have to do a lot of breaking up because it's not as easy as just breaking up a trapezoid. So we need to divide it. So I'm going to divide it like this, and then divide it again like that. Now, there's more than one way to divide it, but that's the way I kind of see it. And when I divide it that way, I can see the dimensions of each of these pieces a little more clearly. So this is 2 by, this one is 2 by 4, because I have the 3 here. I have the 3 here. I have the 4 here. So this is 2 by 4. So I know that's going to be 8. This section here is going to be 3 by 5. 3 by 5 right here. So that's going to be 15. And then the triangle, we know this is 4 from when we solved this one. Again, we got 4 because it's 7 across, 3 across up to here. That means there's 4 more here. This is 4. And then this is 3. I know this is 3 because if you go 2 up, then you have to go another 3 to get to that full 5. So this is 3 by 2. I'm sorry, not 3 by 2. 3 by 4. And 3 times 4 is 12. But since it's a triangle, we're going to make that 6. And then we just have to add all those pieces together to get what that is. And this would be 29. So this side is 29. The other side is also 29. So therefore, when we add these together, we would get 58. So then I'm just going to add all those together. And when I add those together, I would do 40 plus 56 plus 16 plus 40 plus 24 plus 58. And I get the 58 because of the two sides. And that would give me 234 centimeters squared.